Now, we know the Premier League clubs are going to vote in the summer to potentially increase their allowed losses under PSR for clubs competing in Europe. What is your thoughts on that news?
Well, I think it's long overdue. I do think they should be increasing the limits for European competition. But then again, I think they should be increasing the limit for all clubs, not just European competition as well. I think Villa will actively support that, of course, because they are sailing very close to the wind on PSR. And they've got the issues of having to strengthen for a Champions League campaign, as well as trying to maintain their position in the league. So of all the clubs right now, they're the ones that would want that breathing space. They've certainly got the resources with the owners to do it. So I think, yes, hopefully it comes through, because I'm all in favour of the clubs being given the resources that they need to try and compete.
Do you think this could be a major boost for the club, given their sort of, we've discussed their PSR, FFP concerns before? Is this good news for them from that perspective?
I think it is good news for them. What I'm questioning right now with the links I'm seeing for some of the players at Villa is, are they really of the quality that are going to compete in Champions League? And that's what we've got to see. It's always a difficult balance for clubs coming in, as we saw Newcastle, who I thought were very unlucky in their Champions League campaign, and Villa coming in now. Can they compete? And if they can, then it's brilliant. But then sometimes the league form drops. So you've got to have that deep squad, and you've got to have the quality of players who can do that. So Villa have got that challenge of not only strengthening a squad at a certain level, but also strengthening the squad to compete at the highest level. And that's the challenge. And look, they're going to have a good go. Unai Emery, and in particularly Monchi, the sporting director, I have huge faith in. Both got massive European experience. And so I've got to give them, they've probably got the best chance of any management group that I can see right now.
And Keith, looking at them objectively going into the Champions League, how do you think their fans should be feeling? Can they be confident about sort of going in and competing at the highest level? Do you think they can give the Champions League a real go next season?
Yeah, look, they will do. We've seen, as I said, with Newcastle, it was very, very thin margins. And that's what the Champions League is about. It is very thin margins. And so it'll depend on the night. If Villa can get those lucky breaks, if Watkins can stick a few away. They disappointed recently, against Olympiacos on the European stage at Villa Park. So they'll have learnt from that. And I think they can go on. I think they will. Obviously, they'll strengthen the squad in some way, but will it be the high enough quality? And then on the night, they've got to perform. So hopefully with Emery, he can get that done. But I'm quite bullish about Villa's opportunities.
And Keith, we discussed some of their incomings potential. We know Ross Barkley looks set to sign for them. In terms of his impact on the squad, I know that you've said he's likely to be a squad player potentially. Where else do they need to strengthen to go and compete on the European stage, but also compete in the Premier League as well?
Well, I think they're certainly in defence. They've been since Tyrone Mings has been injured. They need to shore up that, and I think certainly Watkins needs some help up front. So still, those are the two areas. But certainly, the Tyrone Mings loss was a big one. I don't know if he's going to come back fully. I mean, it was a terrible injury. We'll see if he can come back. I know he's worked very, very hard on rehab. He'd be welcome back, I'm sure, if he's back at his peak level. But certainly those are the two areas that I would see that are pretty key right now.
And with the lure of Champions League football, Keith, do we expect any incomings at the highest level? I mean, we've discussed some other squads potentially. What sort of signings do we think Emery and Monchi are likely to make going into the summer window?
Well, again, we just talked about the increase in the PSR limits, and those are the sort of things that will dictate that. And so we're going to have to see the outcome of those discussions, I think. They'll have made a list already of whether they're going to be shopping at Harrods or whether they're going to be shopping a little bit further down the chain. So let's just see how that the actual regulations pan out. And once they understand what budget they've got, I know the owners will fund that fully, I'm sure, to give them the best possible chance. But they've also got to do it within certain levels. So let's see how those votes go. And it may increase their budget and therefore the different quality of player. So until we know that, it's hard to say.
And one name to mention, Keith, it's of course has attracted interest for a long time. Douglas Luiz, absolutely brilliant player. We've discussed his future before. Do you still feel that he could leave in the summer, given some of the concerns around FFP and PSR?
Yeah, my Villa contacts that I've been speaking to have said they do think he may well go. I think that would be a shame. I think he's certainly done well at Villa. And I think he's starting to really, he's gone on strength to strength from each season. And I think he's a crucial part of any Champions League quality squad. But there is a feeling that he may have to go. Again, a lot will depend on how they get rid of some of their younger players. I've mentioned Jacob Ramsey before. I think that's a pretty key piece. If he does go at the right price, then I think that's the sort of player that they can get rid of, and then they can try and focus on trying to keep the Louises. But otherwise, he may be one that wants to go and may have to go.
And do you think someone like Ollie Watkins, would he be more likely to stay, say, than a Douglas Luiz or a Jacob Ramsey potentially?
I'd be very surprised to see Watkins leave. I think he's, obviously the Euros is another one that could catch the eye. But I don't think he's really wanting to leave at the moment. I think he's happy with Champions League football. I think he's settled at Villa. So I'd be surprised to see him go. But there certainly will be interest in people asking.
And from the perspective, Keith, of sort of competing, I know we've just discussed Europe, but from a Premier League standpoint too, where do you think the club will stand in that perspective? Will they be looking for, say, a top 3 finish next season? Will it be that they go for the title? Where do you see their short-term goal lying in next season's campaign?
Next season has got to be about consolidation and trying to remain in the top 4 if they can. 4th, they'd snap my hand off right now if they could take 4th again, I'm sure. And also have a good European campaign. If they got through the group stages, that would be amazing. And so that's the sort of thing I think Villa are looking at right now. But that would then give them the foundations to really push on after that. But I think next season's about consolidation, trying to stay in the top 4. And it's going to be a very, very tough battle. I see the league being very tight in that top 10 situation next year. And so it's going to be a very difficult season for them.